Hey everybody, Karen from Ask the Spirit Guides. I hope you're doing well today. So I wanted to start a new series that is going to look at some of the text in Ann Tucker's book, What's Coming Next. Okay. Last night being the night before, I decided I was going to pull together this series, which is going to be like 8 parts. Now, I may do additional ones because there's a lot to talk about in here. We're not going to go through the whole book, but last night I was like, I wanted to hear what Anne was saying about the 3 days of darkness. She really talks about the 3 days of darkness a lot, that she channels from her guides. And I was like, do I have that book? So I ran over to my bookshelf. I'm like, I did buy that book because I haven't read it yet because we've been reading other books in the Spirit Circle. And so I opened up to part 5. And this is why, like, I didn't even start the book from the beginning. Part 5 is the Necessary Unwinding, Challenges to Come. And I thought, I'm going to read that. So unfortunately, I read it like too long last night before I was going to sleep. And of course, I had a hard time sleeping then because it is not comfortable. It's not comfortable. But we are going to look at some of the texts that she channeled, okay, about what's to come. It will help us to understand what's unfolding right now. I'm going to read some of the text directly. And then we're going to look at the astrology that may explain why she got these messages from her guides, and the birth chart specifically of the United States, because there's a lot coming for the United States, according to what she's channeled. So we're going to look at the text, the astrology, the birth chart, and then ask some questions about that particular text, okay? So in this episode 1, I'll call it, I've got 3 different texts, so we'll do that system. Then, there's a lot of text that I want to go over because it's kind of important, I think, for us to consider. It will give us some perspective on what's going on today and help us to prepare, all right? And I just think we need to start getting into that mindset. But I want to find out from the SGs, like the lead team, is this something we should be thinking about? Okay. If you're going to buy her book, I actually highly recommend it. If you're going to buy it from Amazon, one way you could support our channel is click on the link in the description. It won't cost you any more if you use our link, but we'll get some little tiny bit of commission for sending you over to Amazon. I know a lot of you aren't using Amazon, so go at it wherever you're going to buy it. But if you are going to buy it from Amazon, if you could use our link, it could support our channel. We'd really appreciate that. Highly recommend, actually. Highly recommend. And I only read that one section so far. What's really funny about this is that it's so ironic because a couple days, Lab will appreciate this. A couple days ago, Lab's like, oh, I got an idea that I think would be really interesting. And so he shared it with Marcia and Marcia shared it with me. And his idea was to pull all the transcripts from many of the spiritual videos that we've done here with the lead team and put them into book form, which would be pretty, it's time consuming, but it would be pretty easy to do. And then 2 days later, I pulled this book, and that's exactly what she did. And in fact, she's got the QR codes for some of the episodes that she recorded. And I'm like, 2 days later, I get the same, and I picked this up. It's been sitting on my bookshelf she wrote this in 2024. I just bought it maybe like 8 months ago. But it's been sitting on my bookshelf for 8 months. And then it's exactly the same format that Lab had just. So Lab, good job. But I thought I actually would love to do that. So Lab, can we get going on that? Mostly for, I just think, I don't know if you guys would be interested in it, but we'd be able to see all the different messages that the lead team has given us over the year. And see the patterns and stuff like that and just read their guidance. I just think that would be really cool. And that's exactly what she did. So good job, Lab. Obviously, the inspiration, right? You never know where it comes from. Okay, so you guys, let's get started. So this first episode is called The Unwinding of Systems. All right. And I think that's what she called this in part 5. So that's probably why Mabel picked this up. Boy, oh boy, using AI today. You guys, it can be very frustrating. I mean, honestly, it took me about 2 hours to get this to what I was trying to get at it. You have to know what kind of language to use with AI. Otherwise, it can get very confused. And if you're confused, then it's confused for sure. So yeah, anyways. But there's no other way for me to do it to get like this flow with the astrology and the birth chart and all that kind of stuff. It would have taken me, 10 months if I tried to do it without AI. So, okay, are you guys ready? All right. So the first message from the book, okay, the first passage we're going to read is structural breakdown and global change. All right. So from the text, many systems, this is quoted here, many systems, structures, and ways of living limit us and sorry, let me start over. Many systems, structures, and ways of living limit us and keep us in a lower vibration. Okay? Those structures must break down or change significantly for us to find our way clear of them. There are significant economic and geopolitical events brewing. That was from a message, and a lot of these messages came to her from her guides for whoever she's channeling, like 2020, 2022, like in that time period. Okay? There are significant economic and geopolitical events brewing. These events will not be gentle. All right. I love this series already because it's just going to help us understand more and help us to stay as calm as possible. It's really the goal for me right now. Okay, the astrology in relation to what this text is saying. So the astrology shows global institutional and financial systems expanding and becoming deeply established between 1950 and 2008. I want you to hear that again. I should put the dates first. Between 1950 and 2008. Okay, that was before I was born. I was born in 69, so it's like 19 years later, okay? Astrology showed global institutions and financial systems expanding and becoming deeply established, okay, up until 2008. Since the 2008 financial crisis, cycles have increasingly exposed weaknesses in those systems. So I've even heard people say that all of this, what's happening right now, or we will be seeing coming, I don't think we've seen it yet with the financial stuff. It's coming. What's weird about this whole thing with the financial stuff, and we are going to spend a whole episode on the financial stuff coming up. I'll tell you, it might be tomorrow. Because what she said in here in the financial stuff in 2020, 2022 is actually what I hear the financial people talking about now. The economists, like not the talking head economists on mass media, because I don't watch that anymore, but like the real economists telling the truth. That's what they're talking about. So I can see the correlation and the parallel between what her guides have prepared us for and what is actually happening now. Okay, I can see it now. But people are saying now that this whole thing started breaking in 2008. It started breaking in 2008. That's not Obama's fault. He came in 2008. He came in and had to deal with the system that he was handed, And I would say that to anybody. If it was a Republican, this is not Republican or Democrat or anything like that. I would say that if there was a Republican coming in at that time, he came in and was dealt with the system that he had. Okay. And we're not going to go over what he did. It's not the purpose of this. Okay. So since the 2008 financial crisis, cycles have increasingly exposed weaknesses in those systems. Okay. So it's been I mean, it's 2026, from 2008 to 2026. That's a pretty long, in human terms, that's kind of a long time period. And what I understand from economists, if they've just patched it in 2008, they just were like, if we don't do this, we just patched it. They just patched it. They didn't fix anything. In fact, nobody got held accountable. One person went to jail because of the 2008 crisis, and many people should have. Should have been held accountable. And so the banks continued to do what they did. They just paid some fines, continued to do what they did. And it's gotten us to this point. So that's not good. That's not good. Okay. Again, not fear mongering, getting realistic, getting clear about what's going on so we can take just appropriate action as we need to from a human standpoint, plus also letting go of some of the resistance around what's right or wrong, because once we get clear, that's how like letting go of resistance is supposed to work. Once you get clear on something, you can look it in the eye. What creates the resistance is when you don't really understand stuff. It's the fear around things because there's confusion. You're like, well, what exactly happened? So, and then sometimes you just have to, like I'm learning, you may not know everything. Like there may just be confusion around it, and that may actually be the clarity you need too. And just be like, you know what? There's confusion around this. It's too much for me to understand or even want to. And I'm going to let that go then. That can also release the resistance, I think. I'm not an expert. I'm just exploring at the same time. Maybe you are, okay? So a rare government power cycle affecting the United States peaked in 2022 to 24, okay? A rare government power cycle affecting the United States peaked 22 to 24, which astrology associates with pressure on institutions. So it very well, again, I'm not Democrat or Republican. I'm independent at this point. And even though I've been a liberal my whole life because of how I was raised and whatever, okay? Just like some of you might have been Republican your whole life because of how you were raised and whatever, right? So, the astrology, so again, Biden was in during that time, and I'm starting to sense that whatever happened after 2000, so Trump's been president twice, Biden, and Obama, right? Obama twice, Trump, Biden, Trump. Okay, since 2008. I think those guys have been dealing, I'm not saying any of them did a good job or bad job. This is not, we're not going there. It's not worth it. It's not worth our energy. But I think those guys were dealing with a system that was completely broken at that time. It's completely broken. And then the politics comes into play, like, well, we can't let it go down now because the Democrats and then the Republicans and then, so we'll just keep creating this bigger and bigger hole, right? So it's complex. It's very complex. So this initially supports Anne's suggestion, that's her guide's suggestion that systems are under stress. Okay? So the birth chart, the United States birth chart, completed a rare Pluto return in 22 to 24, that same time period where the rare government power cycle was affecting the United States. It peaked during that time. Astrologers associate this rare Pluto return, that cycle, with nations confronting issues around power and institutions. Okay. I am starting to learn because I am looking at the world from all sides now, which is a good song and probably something I would like to encourage everybody to consider doing. I am starting to learn that those who thought Trump was different, the reason they thought he was different, well, one, he told them he was, and he didn't come up from a political background, right? But that he was going to confront the issues around power and institutions. That's what I'm learning as to how that movement formed. And now what I'm learning about the power structure of our institutions and our government as a whole, it is making me go, oh, I get it. Not that I agree with them thinking that Trump was a good person, because if you just looked at his history, you would know that, right? But I understand the movement more on them seeing that there was issues within the power structures and our institutions, I think, before I did as a liberal. I'm not saying before everybody. I'm not saying the whole Democratic Party. I'm just saying, okay? And I'm talking power structures and institutions, the whole thing. Not one side or the other, the whole thing. We have to start looking at the entire thing together rather than this side and that side. We have to. That is how they have kept it going, because we keep looking at this side and not the whole thing together. Okay? So we have to look at that. So financial areas of the U.S. chart have also been under disruption cycles from 2018. This is based on our birth chart, 2018 to 26. So that's this year, okay? This supports the possibility that government and economic systems could be experiencing pressure, okay? So that was based on what Anne said. Let me just remind you what this text was. Many systems, structures, and ways of living limit us and keep us in a lower vibration. We know that to be true, right? Many of us have sensed that for a very long time. And we have been required to pick sides to deal with that. But that allowed that structure to keep moving the way it needed to move while we pick sides. So they moved together as a circle, the structure, and we stayed here and here fighting each other. And that allowed this structure to keep cycling the way it was cycling, the power and the institutions. All right. So she says her guide said, these structures must break down and change significantly for us to find our way clear of them. Well, we are here over as much as sometimes I go, oh, I'm so excited. After reading some of these clips, I'm not that excited. I will be once I allow them to sink in, which is why I want to do this series with you. We've got to get these messages, because they're coming true right now. We've got to get these messages sunk in and ask the lead team to help us understand so that we can stay as calm as possible throughout it, while the rest of people who are going to be very surprised when it happens, because we're not going to be surprised and we're going to be a little bit more prepared, because we've been talking about getting a little prepared already, and not like hoarding prepared, but just getting a little prepared, right? To the best of your ability. And don't worry, you just do the best you can, like you always do. But those who are totally unaware, which is a lot of people, there's going to be chaos. This book even explains that, which we're going to be talking about in this series. Okay. It's going to be about 8 days, probably. We're going to be talking about this. Okay. So come back for the next one. Okay. So she said there are significant economic and geopolitical events brewing. Again, that was like 2020. These events will not be gentle. All right. So let's ask the lead team a few questions, and then I'm going to go on to the next passage that she said. Okay, we're going to cover 3 in each episode. Okay, so I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness. Oh, hi. Oh, there. Turn some lights on. It's much brighter now. The God consciousness, my guides, guardians, and the lead team collective. and only those of the wait, what? I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides, guardians, and the lead team collective, and ask Archangel Mike, and only those of the highest and purest light, and ask Archangel Michael to please protect my channel, your channel, our community, the lead team collective, so it is only of the highest and purest light. Amen. I don't know what's going on there. It's weird. I was like, my mouth was actually saying it from like routine, but like my brain wasn't registering it. It's like I just know it, like my mouth knows it, you know? Okay, so lead team, thank you so much for being here. I guess, we could start by asking how much legitimacy, and this is actually not to try to contradict Anne's book at all, but is this a series? I haven't even asked them this because I just tend to do things and then I'm like, oh, maybe I should ask. Is this series a series that would be helpful for our community to discuss? Okay, really wide swing. Yes. Okay. And the guidance that Anne has been given, that has been published in this book, is it guidance that you support as well for us to understand? Yes. Okay. All right. Is there a chance that you put this book in my brain last night to go look for? Because I've been kind of struggling lately. Yes. Just I've been struggling. Well, I've been struggling because of the last series we just got done with. Okay. Which is weird. I just want to point out make sure I'm authentic about this. I'm recording those series at the same time. So this may feel like I may be like have all these revelations by the time I'm done recording that last series, but I'm doing I'm doing them at the same time. Just because the one I'm just got done with publishing, I want to include your comments in them. But I can't record the next one until I get your comments. So I have to do something in the meantime. So just so you know, in case it does feel a little like, well, Karen, you said, I might be discovering some things or saying, oh, that's interesting in this series that I've already said in the last series, and that would be why. Okay. Just so you know, they are being recorded together at the same time. Anyways, time frame. Okay, so lead team. Okay, so it sounds like you are in support of this conversation. Yes. Okay, cool. Okay, are some systems humanity created now limiting human growth or awareness? Yes. Okay. That's an actually really good way to think about it, you guys. That the systems, even though we intuitively knew that, it's just putting words to it like that, I think is really helpful. So systems that are now limiting human growth and awareness. They're saying yes. Could certain economic or political systems unintentionally keep people operating from fear or survival? Yes. Was it designed that way since 1950? Was it a slow? Yes. So the system has been designed purposefully to keep the people operating from fear. Yes. Operating from a survival mindset. Yes. Was the system purposefully developed? And I'm talking the United States right now. Yes. Okay. Just making sure we're clear. Was it purposefully designed and created and slowly built up to keep the people divided? Yes. Okay. What I decided to do, and I got all these little, just because these are thoughts in my head. I stopped talking about like specific things going on for a while. And then I've been back and forth, like, I don't know how to bring this back. And then I realized I can bring this back without talking, because I don't want to alienate anybody at this point by taking the stance I was taking in 2025. Because it's not even because I am not one side or the other anymore, because I see how the division is. And so I don't want to do that anymore, but we can talk about these things without using those specific examples or talking about it from both sides. Or like I said, we've got that circular power structure, institutional structure that people we have believed in, regardless of who you voted for, people we have all believed in, we thought they would be able to make the changes within that. But I think there's more going on, and they know it now. Obviously, they know it because they've been in there. There's more going on than when they first came into the scene. Like, I really do believe people come into the political life with really good intentions, but they get in and the system is it's beyond what they even understood, because I don't think anybody can understand it. There's something going on that none of us understand, even like really good analysts. There's something under the surface that's going on that when they get in, it's too strong, it's too powerful. So, lead team, is that accurate, to at least on the surface of how I've explained it? Yes. Okay. So have the presidents, Obama, Trump, Biden, have they had their hands tied because of this system? Yes. Did all of them go into those positions with the very best of intentions? Yes. Obama did. Yes. Trump did. Yes. Biden did. Yes. Doesn't that make you feel a little like, oh, it makes me want to cry a little bit for all of them, because one, we've all been hard on one or another of them. I mean, really hard. If this is, I mean, again, I'm just scratching the surface, and I'm not saying each of them don't have their faults. Of course they do. They're like us. They're human. And some of them have bigger faults than others. So we're not going there. That we don't even need to beat that down anymore. That's a boring story. What's important is to understand that there is something going on that we haven't been able to see. And they didn't see it going into it. And then once they're in it, they're like, what the actual F, you know? So can you imagine the nightmares they probably have had? No, I mean, you know. Okay. Let's see. Is it sometimes necessary for systems to weaken before people are willing to change them? Yes. Are current geopolitical tensions connected to deeper structural problems in global systems? Yes. Is the issue of what the United States is dealing with, does it go beyond the United States power structures? Yes. Is that where the sticky wicket is? Yes. Okay. Doesn't that give you some real understanding? That is a piece of understanding that I'm just saying aha to. Again, this previous series that I'm recording at the same time, I'm probably going to end up talking about the same kind of things, but from a slightly different angle, because we're really approaching, her conversation. So, but that's okay. I think we need to really get this to sink in right now. I know I do. So let's just say that since 2008, we're just going to say since 2008, because that's when the stuff just clearly showed that it was broken. And we thought they fixed it. At least I did. I mean, I didn't pay that much attention. I knew there was a huge issue, and I've seen the movie The Big Short, I was like, holy crap, when I saw that movie. But I was like, oh, thank God, we've got people in there who are going to fix it. And then I just, went on with my merry way. I just didn't realize what we've been talking about in this other series of how, there's a lot of other things going on. So, but now that I just asked that question, let's just say since 2008, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. That the global power structure, which is this under thing that we don't understand, it's global, not just US. So that's my sister texting me. That's why it is so beyond comprehension, probably, which may be why we astrologically, birth chart wise, and why we need to go through this, the things that we're going to be talking about in this series. Because if the people that we thought could do it, which would have been Obama, Biden, and Trump, I'm going to give them all credit. Again, I'm not talking about their personalities or histories or anything like that. Politically, Trump does have very good political skills, whether you want to admit that or not. I'm not saying positive or not. He has political skills. Okay. I'm not going to say positive or negative. He has very strong political skills. There's no way he would be where he is today if he didn't. Okay. So, but let's say that those three had the same amount of political skill, which I think they did. I think Biden had the most because of his long-term experience in the political system. But that would mean to me that he was probably more aware of this underbelly. And maybe he thought he could deal with it. Maybe he thought he could deal with it with his years of experience. I am going to now trust. So do I have any of that accurate by chance? Yes, really wide swing. Okay. So rather than us blaming those three for not doing the job, was the job impossible, like 100% impossible? Yes. Yes. And that has to do with systems outside of the United States. Yes. Okay. All of a sudden I have this huge feeling of forgiveness coming over me, which is actually quite cool. That's quite cool. Okay. Could the stress we see today, the stress in the systems, be revealing weaknesses that already existed within those systems? Yes. And is that the weakness? Did the system actually, let's say, deconstruct or break, like collapse, let's say? Did the system actually collapse in 2008? Yes. And this has been a plan from the underbelly. I'm going to call it the underbelly. And that's what the right has been calling the deep state. I think that's what they mean. If you're from the right, or I mean, you don't just if you understand, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Like, is that what that means? The deep state, but it's global, not just the United States. It's a global underbelly. Okay. So that is why when we get further in this series, it's going to make sense. It's going to make sense. Okay, a couple more questions, and I'm going to end this. I only went through one, but the next episode will be quicker to get through a couple more texts because I just needed to kind of introduce this. All right, so I will see you tomorrow for sure for part 2. All right, and we're going to go over probably 3 different texts of hers, and I'll stop talking so much. Okay, but I have to make sense of it. Like, I have to slow this down for myself to really make sense of it. Otherwise, you're just listening to another talking head talking really fast, blah, 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 and the information is like, ah! Anybody else been experiencing that? Trying to get information, but then they're talking so fast and there's no time to absorb and nobody's processing and nobody's saying, well, what does it really mean? And they're just telling you what it is, right? So you're never going to get that here, but okay. Anyways, could the stress we see today be revealing weaknesses? Yes. Could humanity reform some systems before they reach total breakdown? No. Okay. I hate to leave you with that. But here's the thing. So could humanity, I love that we're using humanity because that's what I'm for. I am for humanity. And I'm going to keep saying that. I am not for United States citizens. I mean, yeah, when I make decisions and stuff on where I'm living, I'm going to have to consider that. But overall, my spirituality is for humanity. My spiritual self is for no borders. My spiritual self is for peace everywhere. That just living on earth together, that's where I'm going. And so could humanity reform? Okay, could humanity reform some systems before they reach total breakdown? The guides have said no. Okay, so what that tells me, and that's very consistent with what we're going to be talking about our other passages. Okay, so, and that's probably enough to let sink in for now. And I think that's important to realize that we can't go from the world we want to create on earth here without the total breakdown. But that total breakdown is what we're going to be preparing for. Okay. And I think it's coming sooner than, because I think her messages, she started channeling these in like 2020, at least the ones that she put in that I read here. So that was like 6 years ago. So, and they even say like it's timing is hard because they don't have time. They don't sense time. So, and things shift, and we'll talk about some of that too. But keep in mind, I think we have to, part of the root of all this, there's a couple things I've learned today. The underbelly is global. And that's made it very hard for our leaders to deal with it. The structure is just too dug in. But if that's the case, which the lead team has said it is, if that's the case, the only way that can end is for total breakdown. So if we want to not keep, and we want to do it better for future generations, including ourselves, if we decide to come back and have a better experience on earth, because we want to just experience earth. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, earth is so beautiful. But right now we can't even like go into Iran and feel safe. Well, I mean, some people could, but the way that we've been brainwashed in the West is there's no reason you can't go in. I wouldn't feel safe going into Iran. It's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country. I've been watching some videos on people who are living in there or going in there and showing beautiful country, beautiful people. But we have been brainwashed in the West to not trust that. And we have to have a total breakdown in order for that. And I think to clear. And that last series I just did, I'm really, I recognize that, or the one I'm recording at the same time, that I am going through a, what do you call it? The dark shadow of the night, or the dark whatever of the night. What do you call it? You're all going to be putting it in the, you don't have to put it in the comments, but, yeah. I can't remember what it's called right now, top of my head. You know what I'm talking about. But I think we are, I think we all, I am going through a big time right now, which is why I got to talk about this stuff. But I was really challenged with how to talk about it without getting into the division part of it. And now I think I'm coming to that place, which I'm excited about. A dark, what is it, you guys? Oh my gosh, hang on. Dark night of the soul. But I think we're going through that as a collective too, right? If we have to put a label on it. You know how I feel about labels right now. Okay, so you guys, I will see you in the next episode. Please join me because I think this is really going to be helpful for us to dissect all this. So I will have at the end of each title, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, just like the last series. Okay. And I will see you tomorrow. Okay. Take care. Bye bye.